Hello and welcome to Run Talk with Dom.
Hello.
And me, Ollie, co-founders of Run Riot. This podcast features conversations with runners talking about what running is release means for them.
Each episode contains frank discussions about personal endeavours, mental well-being, physical challenges. Basically, loads of good content related to running.
Happy to say that we are starting where we mean to go on with a really brilliant guest. Someone who I'm afraid to say, Dom, is probably more qualified than either of us to talk about running, sadly, and is definitely more qualified to be doing this podcast malarkey because he is a professional broadcaster, he is a well-known radio presenter, he is a sports reporter, but he's also a pretty nifty runner, someone who's done over 50 marathons, runs a sub 3 PB. And moreover, you've written, not two, not three, but 4 books on running. So
3 on running, 1 on swimming.
Okay, there we go. So if you haven't already guessed, listeners, our guest today is Vassos Alexander. Welcome, Vassos.
Thank you very much for inviting me on.
No problem at all. Before we get going, how was your Christmas? Did you get any running done? And did you wear any Santa hats during those runs?
So I'm chair of Barnes Runners currently, and we organise an annual turkey run along the towpath here in Barnes, which is like 10k, and fancy dress is very much encouraged. And while I didn't run it, because you can't run it and run it, I do feel responsible for a lot of Santa hats running along towpaths over Christmas.
But there are a lot of them. I think, what did you do? Bushy Park?
I did the Bushy Park run on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
That was about -2. And I think there were just under 3,000 runners.
I know, I saw it. I mean,
it's huge.
I actually, because our local one is Fulham Palace. And I just realised that on text now, you can do... like you can do on WhatsApp, you can do like a voting situation.
Okay.
So I sort of sent a message to my wife and 2 older children. I said, look, I know, right? But Park Run Christmas Day, I promise it'll be a lovely thing. So the options are run, volunteer, shut up, Dad. And I'm afraid to say that Shut Up Dad got an awful lot of an awful lot of traction. So we didn't park run on Christmas Day.
No.
But I just love the fact that there's a Christmas Day park run.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, for us, right, we're existing runners, but for people, for example, because park runs is a community as much as it is a run.
Yeah.
And for people who maybe don't have a family to spend Christmas Day with, what a lovely way to start the day, just with your park run family. I just think it's really ace.
Yeah, the Christmas. I've only ever done it once, and it was really special. Actually, really fun. I did a terrible time because it was a late night the night before, but it was really fun. And like you say, a lot of Santa hats and Santa costumes. So, I mean, Run Talk. I was just talking to you about this now. It's not a complex idea. We talk to runners about running, and guess what? Runners like to talk about running, don't they? The only kind of parameters I'd put around that is we really like to focus on the mental aspect of running, the mental well-being, less about times and distances. Yes, that's important, but the kind of mental space that you get from the activity of running. And kind of to kick us off, a lot of what your repeating theme in your writing and when you talk about running is this idea of pushing outside of your personal comfort zones and how that's important to your mental and physical well-being. So maybe kick off there and riff off that a little bit.
I mean, I love it. I love getting outside my comfort zone. Like on the start line of the London Marathon 2025 last year, I'd got it in my head. We started a couch to 5K, so I bought a 25 kilogram weighted vest, which just sat up here as a sort of way, if I was going to do like, I don't know, on the couch to 5K thing, 3 minutes on, 3 minutes off with some absolute new to runners people. With all due respect, that's not exercise for me, but it is if I put 25 kilograms on. So I just thought I could kill 2 birds with 1 stone and hide it under a jacket so people didn't know I was doing it. And then I did the Canterbury 10 miler in it, and I started sort of running in it just because getting outside my comfort zone. And then the sort of pernicious thought got into my head, I wonder if I could run a marathon in this.
God.
And despite Hugh Brasher asking me in person the Friday morning before the marathon, he said, just don't do it, please, because I've got enough to worry about without like worrying about in those temperatures you
Yeah.
keeling over because you don't know how hard it is. And I didn't know how hard it was, and I did it. Sorry, Hugh, but I was fine. But on the start line, I was so excited because I didn't know what was going to happen over the next 3, 4, 5 hours, 6. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Would I finish? Whereas all the previous years, and I'm very lucky, we get invited into the the VIP tent at the start, and we see the same sort of people, and it's lovely to catch up with Sophie Rayworth and and all the rest, the runners,
All the people
sort of,
we see on TV. Yeah.
the media runners, right? But within sort of 10 minutes, in any previous year, I could, even in a giant Minion costume that I'd taken to wearing in London for a few years, I could say within 10 minutes how quick I was going to do the next 26 miles. Whereas last April, I had no idea.
Yeah. Did you set off at the right pace?
Well, actually, my legs didn't really slow down. I didn't know what pace to set off at because I had done no training with a Garmin on, just a stopwatch.
Okay.
And the training, the long runs, were so awful that I actually couldn't do my last one. I wanted to do a sort of, I did a 3.5. And runners, right? So I got home at 3:28. So that's just like, that's a minute down the road and a minute back just to make it up to the 3.5. But it was so awful, I just didn't even do that.
Yeah.
Really?
and then I didn't do the 4:10, 4:20 that I had planned, sort of assuming a 5-hour marathon.
Yeah.
Actually, I did it in, I think, 4:14. But I hadn't done the last long run. It was just every step was. I mean, I took this thing off on the finish line.
It was.
And where's the nearest bin? I never want to see it again. And we could.
It was a hot one last year.
It was just the pressure on your back.
Yeah.
I don't think my hip's quite right ever since it. But I was so excited. Like get me on the start line of a really hard 100-miler.
Yeah.
I'm so excited because I don't know what's going to happen. And that's just the elder children and I. When I left the breakfast show on Virgin Radio last year, and I just took the opportunity to take 2 of my older kids, Emily and Matthew, who are 21 and 19, up Kilimanjaro.
Wow.
And we did it quickly. And so there's like oxygen situations, and is the altitude going to hit you? And it did hit us all hard, but it was because it was hard. It was fantastic on the top. Yeah. We had a moment that is sort of deathbed good, and you don't get that by sitting on your sofa watching the last episode of really Stranger Things.
That idea of because it's hard, that's why it's worthwhile. Because I think that's kind of at the core of running, isn't it? Like every day you go out for a run. Yes, you can be a good runner. You can do 100 miles a week, but it's not as easy as walking or sitting on the sofa, is it? And I think going back to that idea of mental health and mental well-being, I think just that aspect of going out and seeing yourself go out and do something is really kind of core to the mental well-being side.
Yeah. You never regret a run, and you've done something hard. I've been running for years and years and years, and I've done some really, really hard races, and I've done some really silly things, and I've loved every second of it. But I went out yesterday, and my legs didn't fancy it, and my head didn't fancy it, but I did it. And therefore, you're immediately giving yourself a pat on the back.
Yeah.
You're immediately changing the version of you, because there's another version of me that didn't go for a run yesterday.
I think I've been that version over Christmas. I've been mostly cheese and chocolates, but I was saying to Dom before we started this. I'm picking it up again.
I was lucky enough to meet Sir Roger Bannister.
Oh wow!
Who was the first human to run a mile in under 4 minutes, and we sort of hit it off a bit actually, and we had a cup of coffee together. And I'm overplaying this, but we weren't friends, but we met in an interview situation, and then we had a cup of coffee, and we just. I don't know, it just seemed a really lovely sort of energy around it. And he said to me that every day, if he can, he gets out of his comfort zone, because then you just expand and grow as a human being. And I thought, and I've always remembered that. And I think, getting out of your comfort zone is so key.
There's getting out of your comfort zone, and there's getting wildly out of your comfort zone. I think maybe, but people have different kind of tolerances for that.
Well, just on that point, you talk about the London Marathon. I remember, some fairly famous. You mentioned media runners. People that are in the media that are runners, like Joel Dommett. Who I think he actually collapsed in the London Marathon.
Yeah, Joel had a really tough. He was trying to do it in a Masked Singer suit.
Yeah,
Harry Judd, who has now since broken 3 hours, trained.
Yeah.
Well, we once played rugby together for England, Harry and I, against the rest of the world. It was the
wow.
It was the worst situation. Well, one of the worst idea ever. Like pro celebrity rugby.
It's different to football, isn't it?
It really is. Like the first tackle is there goes some
crunch.
ribs.
Yeah.
But like, you know, Harry had a tough old day. You know, you can have tough old days in the London Marathon, even. You know.
Yeah.
And there was one London when James Cracknell and I, they didn't start us. They sort of feed us in now, but they just started us at the start of the green start. The first, and then behind us are the sort of 4-hour plus marathon runners.
Right.
So it was the year that I think Tim Peake started it from space, and then we set off, and we were right at the front, sort of the media runners, and myself and James were sort of pacing along quite nicely at about 6:45 a mile. And then we looked behind, and there was no one within sight of us. But the green start hadn't merged with the blue start yet, so it was the first sort of 3 miles. And so if anyone was watching from the side of the road, they'd have thought that leading the London Marathon by miles were James
is there
and
any
Vassos.
footage of that
Well,
moment?
I don't tell me that. All my spare time is on YouTube looking for that. But then James later that race had a bit of a blowout. But he's someone who loves getting out of his comfort zone. He was 40, 50 when he came back and rode in the boat race.
Yeah.
Just because, why not?
So to that point, I mean, you talk about, you know, distance running there and being pretty good at it as well. I think you're being very modest there, and that's why I referenced other runners who in that London Marathon really struggled, you know. But running for us is a lot more than just PBs and time and distance. It's you know, our mantra is running is release.
Yeah.
You've mentioned just then as well that you never regret a run. Can you just maybe highlight a little bit more what you mean by that, particularly with that reference to the mental well-being aspect?
Well, because running is release,
right?
You know, that's a lovely little phrase, by the way. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You talked about space, and it does. It gives you like headspace, but also it connects you to the space that you're running in.
Yeah.
Much more so than walking. You know, you go and stay in a foreign town. And you go for a 20-minute, half an hour run just before breakfast, and you sort of feel like that town sort of like almost by osmosis comes into you, which you don't really get wandering around, you know, and you definitely don't get cycling. And I think there is a lot to be said for getting outside your comfort zone, and therefore, you know, you're doing something hard. You know, the old granny eat the carrots first thing. You know, I've got to getting into ice baths, and it's good for you physically, but it's much better for you mentally. You know, it's just doing something hard, but also it's a release. Your brain has a chance to sort of like do a Control Alt Delete and kind of reset, because we have, you know, our brains are not designed to keep us happy. They're designed to keep us safe. So they are naturally, and some people have more kind of anxious brains than others, and those people their brains are just doing better work. You know, they've got to keep us safe. That's what the brain is there for. So we've got to find ways, and running is a brilliant way, because it also, you're doing right by your DNA, because we evolved to look like this. We don't look like Neanderthal woman or man because they were stronger and faster, but we are persistence hunters, human beings. So we evolved to run long distances. And so you're doing right by your genes, and you're doing, you know, right by your anxious brain. And I kind of love it. I mean, a life with running in it is so much kind of richer and sweatier.
So do you think there is something also in that, talking about trying to get new people into it, or other people that have never run before or haven't run for a while, the mental health aspect is possibly a stronger draw than maybe the physical benefits? Or do you see those two very much hand in hand?
I think they're hand in hand. Whatever gets you over the line. I mean, some people, you know, let's say you have a sedentary, unhealthy lifestyle, what we would describe in 2026
the modern lifestyle.
London as a sedentary, unhealthy lifestyle with, like, you know, unhealthy food and no exercise, right? So it would be good, I think, to try and turn that around just for because, you know, healthy body, healthy mind, all of that stuff, and you just like your days, your hours, your that little bit of time that we have on this earth will just pass more kind of contentedly, I think, if you can turn that around.
Yeah.
And because, it's so tempting, with Waitrose and Deliveroo and, Netflix, just do nothing, and then just like press a button and some more crisps come.
Yeah.
But I don't really, I know people who've turned that around by deciding to eat more healthily, and then they've sort of tiptoed into running.
Yeah.
Or people who've wanted to sort of lose a bit of belly fat and then realise that healthy eating is a good thing. It doesn't really matter. Once you sort of step on that, it's like a virtuous circle.
Yeah.
And then you realise you want it more, even though paradoxically it's the thing that you kind of want to do least.
Yes.
So talking of a bit of belly fat, let's go right back to when you first started running, because you haven't always been this pretty decent runner, have you? I read how you started in your kind of early 30s.
Yeah.
When you kind of felt you were maybe getting a little bit more unhealthy than you'd like to. And I want to pick up on what Don was saying. This idea of actually you never regret a run. You probably did regret that first run, did you? A couple of minutes.
I mean, it was too fast because I was sort of showing off to my neighbours. Look at me, I'm going for a run, but not really, because that set me on the path. That set me on the path to running, and I think the reason that all the flipping books and and I do go on about it, and talking at the National Running Show and all this stuff that I do, it's because I'm evangelical about it, because I didn't have it earlier. We asked in the 2012 Olympics. Chris Evans and I were on Radio 2, and we had this studio. It was like a shipping container in the middle of Olympic Park, and the medalists would be brought to us. And Jess Ennis-Hill had just won Olympic heptathlon gold, and Chris asked her, fair enough, to ask the heptathlon gold medalist, what's it like to be so fit? I mean, Jess being in a conversation about fittest woman in the world, having just won that gold medal. And she goes, I don't know, because I've always been this fit. Well, I do know.
Yeah.
Because I am, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but I'm pretty fit now.
Yeah.
But I wasn't always that fit, and I just know how much better it feels to be fit. And so that first run, it was too fast. Actually, that first run down the end of my street, and I sort of blew up after a few hundred meters, and I thought, this is a terrible situation. It was only vanity that led me to it, because I just looked down, and there was a little flop of belly fat over my belt when I was on my way to present a show at Television Centre, having played golf, which is about as active as I got. But then, and I never thought then I'd be signing up for, Spartathlons and arcs of attrition and what have you, and marathons. But there was something about running. There's something so pure about running.
Yeah.
I think it's because we were designed to do it.
Yeah.
And you can get very het up in, I don't know, hydration vests and super shoes and stuff, but you actually don't need any of that stuff. You just need to go and run.
You said the word evangelical, and I think anyone who has got the running bug is pretty evangelical. We said at the upfront, Run Talk is about just talking to runners about running, and runners love doing that. But on the flip side, if you talk to someone who says, "Oh, running's not for me," I just want to get them to the point of that tipping point, which it might not be that first jog to the end of your road, 2 minutes. It might not be the second, the third, but there comes a point where it does click for everyone, because I think everyone can be a runner. Like you said, it's a kind of natural evolutionary thing.
Yeah, you definitely don't have to look like Mo Farah to be a runner, or Paula Radcliffe. You can look like anybody.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of the things that slightly frustrates me, and I'm guilty of it sometimes, is using the word ultra to describe endurance races of longer than 26 and a bit miles, because that's so off-putting, isn't it? It feels like only ultra fit, ultra kind of svelte, ultra endurance people need apply. And actually, you get to the start line of any of these races, and the opposite is the case. They're the most welcoming, most diverse sort of places. You actually walk a lot of them. It just, and I think the way I would always ask someone, sort of nudge someone towards running, is sort of walking, actually.
Yeah.
Just get outside, walk, and then just run for a little bit. Not until it gets hard, just run for a little bit, maybe 30 seconds, maybe 20 seconds, and then walk for a bit. And then maybe do that twice or 3 times over a 10-15 minute walk.
Yeah.
And that's basically how I did it. And then
it's how everyone does it. If you haven't been running since, you were 10 years old and doing competitions, that is literally how everyone starts running. What do they call it? Jeffing, when you're doing walk
exactly
run.
what they call,
Of course that's how because it's hard, but it becomes easier, and each of those kind of small runs becomes a little bit longer, and then again you get the you get the feeling for it, don't you? You get it.
There's a tipping point.
Yeah.
And actually, because we've done a few Couch to 5K sessions for at Barnes Runners, there's one week, I don't know if it's week 4 to 5 or 3 to 4, something like that. You're running for 8 minutes, I think, with a like 2 or 3 minute break, and then suddenly you're running for 20. And if you'd looked at it on a piece of paper, you'd think, no, hang on, I can't do that. What about where's 10 and 12 and 15 gone before 20?
Yeah.
But actually, you can, you know, and obviously the people who've designed Couch to 5K know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely moment when you realise that you've just run 20 minutes in a row. That's, you know, when I go for my runs, 20 minutes is my minimum.
Yeah.
That's my thing, right? And you know, that first time when I ran 20 minutes, I thought, well, hang on a minute. I mean, I'm not fast or anything, but I think I can call myself a runner if I can run 20 minutes. And that's great. It's great to see, you know, people who just, they suddenly realise that I'm more is in me.
So I wanted to pick up on, I mean, you do a lot of events. You're a pretty damn decent runner, but you're also involved in local running club, and you talk about Couch to 5K, and it sounds like you're pretty passionate about helping people to get into running and the kind of community aspect.
Yeah, well, I just, that thing, you know, I'm just evangelical about it. It's a really great thing to have in a life, you know. I love, you know, as part of Barnes Runners, we have Barnes Flyers, which is the kids section, on that track where you used to run, Barn Elms, on a Sunday morning. That's great, seeing kids who start the summer and they, you know, struggle to get around 400 metres or 300 we start them at. And then they're flying around towards the end of the summer, just building their confidence, building their ability, building their their belief in their own bodies. You know, it's lovely being in a body that, you know, I could lose my legs, right, and I would still be me, obviously. So I don't think that I am my body, but I'm really grateful for it, you know, and I'm really grateful for the fact that it can do stuff like go running, especially as that's what, you know, it was designed to do. And yeah, no, I do. I love seeing people, you know, people who've read books and who say to me, "Thank you, you inspired me." You know, I do, you know, I don't do things by halves, and I do kind of dive in, right? So I love it, and I understand that I'm at one end there. But I think if you see someone who's at one end running, I don't know, 150 miles, you think, well, maybe I could run a mile and a half, you know, and yeah, and that's why I write the books, because honestly, they don't pay the mortgage, but they do sometimes resonate.
Yeah.
And I love that, and I love doing the Couch to 5K, because again, it's the same thing. You know, you just see people, and you know, some people don't continue with their running, but a lot of people do, and that's great.
I think you have an ongoing relationship with running. Often, I think people do.
Yes.
Like, you know, I do. I will kind of. If it's that kind of tipping point the other way. If I don't run for a week because I've got ill or something, I might then not run for a bit, and you know, then I get back into it. It kind of goes up and down.
Yeah.
But,
You do get quite grumpy when you don't run.
Yes, that's true. That's partly why I run, I think.
Why did you two set up a running brand?
Oh, he's just turned the tables on us. Do you
Yeah.
see what he did?
Yeah.
Mostly because when we were working, we both worked in agency world advertising, and it's quite stressful. And our kind of release was running, and it was very much, we both loved running, but we liked the idea that if you had a really stressful morning, afternoon, day, whatever, you just carve out some time and go for a run, and somehow there was something quite cathartic about that. You would get that release, predominantly mental release. Yes, you've kind of, you know, managed to, as I say, blow shit up in your mind when you go running, and it's something quite unique for me personally about running that enables me to process and somehow deconstruct and then park it. But also then when we talked about running together, there was this sort of mutual bond, I suppose.
Yeah,
about
it's the
what
thing
it
we
meant.
bonded over. So we ran a business together previously, and it was the sort of the one thing we would allow ourselves to do. I mean, we were working a lot, you know, 7 days a week for long periods of time. But it was the one thing, like, do you know what, Dom? I need to go for a run because this is stressing me out. Or indeed my kids are stressing me out or whatever. That was the sort of thing we said time and time again. And then at the end of that business and that process, we literally sat down and had a chat in the pub and said, what are we going to do next? And talking about kind of going outside of your comfort zones. This is not necessarily our comfort zone. We come from a different world, actually, but really passionate about this idea, running is release. We are genuinely passionate about that. That's not like
no, I can tell.
It's not just a tagline. It's like something we find really meaningful.
But it's also the space in the market. I mean, you talk about, you know, doing ultras being a word that's maybe bandied around as almost an exclusivity badge, you know. And I'm not saying that's you. I'm saying agreeing with what your remark is about that. There is a space, I think, in the market at the moment that basically makes running more inclusive and talks more about the fact that it's not just about PBs, it's not just about time and distance. And if you look at, in particular, things like Instagram at the moment, there is a bit of a shift at the moment, or a counterculture, if you like, against, you know, posting your PBs.
100%. And the non-race. You know, I just ran across Iceland with Danny Bent, who knows you. And, you know, it's a non-race. It's a non-race.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. No one's checking your times. And I love that. You know, Barnes Runners, since I took over, I've really tried to, I mean, yes, and sometimes I've been guilty of not doing this enough, celebrate the hell out of our quick runners, because we're a running club, right?
Yeah.
But I was so keen to make it inclusive, not just fast middle-aged. Well, actually, it was just sort of fast middle-aged blokes, really, when I joined, you know. Oh, when did you get your sub-3, you know? And the Strava nonsense, right? Whereas now it just matter. Just come, join, run, commute. And it is now, you know, we're, if maybe not more than 50%, but around 50% gender split, and age doesn't matter, and speed doesn't matter. And I think that's really important, because I think you're right. I think the next, while we might be surfing on a sort of high rocks wave over here, I think maybe the next wave behind it is a non-race kind of vibe.
Yeah,
and to also to look at yourself. I think you can be both. You know, you can be chasing the PBs, you can be pushing the ultra distances, but still celebrate running just for running per se, rather than anything that gives you that huge sense of achievement in terms of distance, time, or what have you. They're not mutually exclusive, I don't think.
How's it going?
What, in terms of the brand?
Yeah.
Well, we're 3-4 weeks in?
Yeah, it hasn't been going very long. Yeah, it's going well. I mean, most important things, we've had nice feedback from people, as in feedback that the products are good.
It is good gear.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for my green t-shirt. Love it. It's my favourite running t-shirt.
Thank you.
That's really good to hear. And that's actually, in all seriousness, that's really important to us, because, you know, we don't come from the apparel world, by the way. We've spent a long time, the past 12 months, kind of doing product development, and we had a kind of vision for what we wanted to do with that, which is not necessarily the kind of, you know, freebie race t-shirts that you get at the end of the London, or used to get at the end of the London Marathon.
No, you still do. You
can
opt out, but you still do.
Yeah. We wanted to do something, you know, in terms of quality, better than that. We wanted to kind of do something that stood out from a kind of brand and aesthetic perspective. But you don't know. You don't know until you actually go. You can say you've got all your forecasts and you know how it's going to go, but until you actually click go, and people have actually ordered things from you and, you know, receive them in the post and put them on for runs, you don't know. But we've had universally good feedback. So it's early days though.
I think the best bit of feedback I can say is doing a park run and seeing somebody wear kit that you've designed and made, and that's
really early for that.
Okay, it was one person, you know, but it blew my mind.
A month.
Yeah.
What was it like? So you went live at around the time that you sent me my t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
But at some point, and you'd have sent other people t-shirts, I guess, right? But then at some point, somebody you don't know would have put in an order through your website. What was that?
It was day one.
Yeah, I'll give you the story on that though. We launched, I can't remember what time it was.
Yeah,
so
that's a good
Dom had a meeting, so we launched.
Yeah.
Then you went off on your motorbike.
I went into London to a meeting.
And within 45 seconds of launching, someone we didn't know. The first person to order something was a complete stranger, as in someone who'd been following our kind of pre-build up on socials. So that was great. And then 27, 28 minutes after launching, about a third of the internet went down. As in, what hosts,
Oh yeah, I remember that day.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, Shopify, everything went
So
down.
then we got a barrage of messages from people saying, "Oh, I've just clicked on your website, it's not working." I called Dom off his motorbike. He knew you got your earpiece in, I presume.
As soon as I saw Ollie's phoning, I went, "That's it.
Something's gone wrong." I just literally dropped my son off at school. Walked back and went, "Why is the website not working?" We had a bad. What's the
That was a 500 error.
500 error. Yeah. So you
terminal.
Came, you came speeding back to see if it's something we'd done, but it hadn't been. And then it was all up and running again within an hour. And the first day was great. We had quite a few orders actually, and quite a few orders from people we didn't know. You do get the friends and family, and yes, please, friends and family, continue doing that. But it's all very early days. This is the start. For the brand. For us, it's not, because we've been working on it for 12 months. But it's the start.
Good luck and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, it feels like we're coming to a kind of natural close, but I wanted to ask you kind of a wrap-up question in terms of 2026, both in your kind of running life and your personal life. I'm going to go back to that kind of theme of pushing your personal boundaries. What's happening for you in running, and what's happening for you in terms of you've left now Virgin Radio, and what you're going to be doing next?
Yeah. So that was a big get out of your comfort zone. Actually, also, we moved out of our house that we'd been living in for 21 years.
Oh, wow.
And we were, not because there was anything wrong with either. I was really lucky to have a great job, which allowed me to do lots of other stuff, and I loved it. And I was, well paid for it, and, just very lucky. Maybe if I'd had my time again, I might have said to my agent to, could you just find me another job? But that's not really me, And I did. I've got lots of fingers in lots of pies, and just had an email today about something which is broadcasting, and then something else which is publishing, and so I think I'm going to be all right, And it does you good to have a few sort of weeks, months of the odd job jitter, but there's always been stuff sort of on the background, and it felt good to just literally jump off the cliff, and the same when you because movement is movement, and I could have carried on doing it, but once I had it in my mind that
once the niggle starts, you gotta
it was the same when we left our house, because we were really happy there and we loved our neighbours, and we got on really well, and there were lots of tears when on the last day there, and that's lovely.
Yeah.
But movement is movement. So there's that. I've got quite into. I mean, I'm ashamed to say it, but I have got quite into high rocks in the last few months.
Don't be ashamed.
Don't be ashamed.
But I think we weren't recording when I said this, right? So I'll just, for the benefit of
please do.
You two have heard it before. It's all made up, right? Park run is made up, and cycling is made up, and going for the London Marathon. It's all made up. It's all made up because we don't have to chase prey anymore, and we've got Deliveroo. So we've got to make up ways of moving our body. And Parkrun's fantastic because, as I said, it's community as well, right? Well, that's made up too, because we all live in houses with Wi-Fi, and we don't need to actually have human connection unless we force it, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're going to make it up, then you may as well just go the whole hog and go the full high rocks, basically. And because then you're also using your upper body. So it is designed to do running and kind of strength work. Pushing a 200 kilogram sled is demonstrably a hard thing to do, right? And then have to run another kilometre and then pull it, right? And then do all the rest of the stuff that you have to do on high rocks.
Throw the medicine balls.
That's the end, the wall balls. Yeah, I did pass the sign in the London Marathon this year. When do the wall balls start? Which is very funny. Can you imagine on the mile right now, 100 wall balls? But it's all good swag. I quite enjoy it. I know you'd be forgiven for thinking if you turned up that it was illegal to have a shirt on, but it's not. You're not actually racing the people next to you because you just go in waves. Yeah. So there's no. There's no kind of animosity. There's no sort of me against anybody, because you don't know what wave they are. You might be ahead of them, you might be behind them. Some people overtake you on the runs. You overtake some people on the runs. Again, you don't know, is it their 7th or their 1st? So it's just because of that. It's all quite kind of. It's all about, there's quite a lot of camaraderie, and it's literally the only person on this planet. How 9 billion people, right? Like, there's one person that cares about my high rocks time, and that's me, and I barely do.
Not even your wife.
She absolutely, she wouldn't have a clue what my high rocks time was. No, and so I don't know. It's a new way of training for me as well, because my wall balls technique was terrible. I was doing like sort of good mornings every time I caught it. I've started doing some stuff to help correct that. Yeah. So I've been introduced to the front squat in the gym. Well, the front squat is like the queen of everything. It just gives you so much, because you're meant to sort of show your triceps to the mirror. So it just gets you in such a good posture. And if you walk around thinking I'm doing a front squat, suddenly you're like, oh, and you're looking up and your shoulders are back. You're just like, oh, this is great. This is how my body should fit. And you can feel the energy flowing. So the fact that it's given me
that though, Vassos, that if you've got a body shape like me, which is a bit of a Donald Duck shape, my bum sticks out quite a lot, that actually when you do that front squat, which my PT got me doing, it is quite painful, because my posture is actually really rather good because of my bum sticking out, my back being slightly flexed, bow-like, it's quite good for running apparently. But actually when you do that, oh my Lord, it's taking me to new levels of pain.
Well, no, it's not. It's
maybe
not
I'm doing it wrong, Vassos.
I don't. Maybe you are. But that's that's for you. Well, you were definitely doing it wrong when you did that.
Yes, sorry.
It's got to be that, doesn't it?
It's got to be like that up to the top.
Yeah.
You're quite right.
But I just anything that sort of helps me improve or just changes. I really love it. So like, hello, front squat.
Yeah.
But running's objectively horrific. Isn't it? I mean,
there's our soundbite for social.
Yeah, that's it. Well, lead with that.
Well, it is, right?
Yeah.
And, like, imagine a conversation between your heart and your legs and your brain, right?
Yeah.
So you're going for a run and your heart and your legs go, right, okay, what are we running away from?
Yeah.
And everyone goes, no, we're not running away from. Okay, gone for that. Okay, so what are we chasing? No, we're not chasing anything. Sorry, so why are we working so hard? Yeah. Oh no, because it's all made up and we're having to go for a run because I don't have to run away from stuff anymore. And that's what we're doing,
Yeah.
So once you sort of lean into the fact that hard stuff sometimes is good for you, then, hello and welcome, Mrs. Front Squat and, and goblet squats and all the rest of the stuff. But I reckon my wall ball technique in March will be quite good when I next do the high rocks.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Maybe that's a good point at which we jump off into some quick fire questions,
Yes,
Ollie, if you're happy for me
let's go for it.
to do so. And Vassos, if you're ready. This is a bit of a tradition for us, for all of our podcasts. We ask all our guests some very quick fire questions. So if you can refrain from long answers,
that's tough for me.
You're right.
Yeah.
Hence the health
likes
warning
the sound
there.
of his own voice over
I
here.
didn't mean it quite like that, but if you wish to take it. So I'll rattle these off and maybe poke you if I feel I need a bit more explanation. But the first one's the tricky one. Running with people or by yourself?
What, one or the other?
Well, you can say both, but I would like to know which is your preference.
We're trying to make it binary.
Yeah.
On purpose.
Yeah. Look, official answer with people, actual answer by myself.
Good enough. I like that. You've covered both bases, but be given one answer. Kilometres or miles?
Don't care.
Oh, never had that before.
I don't care because I sort of have to be fluent in both because people want to talk to me about, 4:14 a kilometre,
right,
or 6:52 a mile.
Yes.
And if you know those, you know those.
Well, you're kind of the ambidextrous person there.
Okay. If I could ban one, I'd ban miles.
Right.
But I'd ban tons and stuff like that. Metrics just better. So okay, fine.
Of course, kilometres are more than miles as well in terms.
But they click through quicker in a race, don't they?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you feel you're accomplishing more quicker. Morning or evening runs?
Evening. Well, middle of the day, but evening.
Okay, I'm going to push a bit on that one though. Why?
Oh, because I wake up, and I know I wake up earlier than most, having spent 20 years getting up at 4. But if I run to work, it takes 2 miles minimum for my legs and sort of the system to sort of wake up.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, events are skewed towards the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And you can sort of counteract it and stuff, and adrenaline helps. But generally, sort of getting up and going for a run just feels like a plod. Even, you know, even on holiday.
Yeah.
And it takes, you know, and then you're into it, right?
Yeah.
But if you just like now,
Yeah.
now Richmond Park's just up there. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know. So
Let's do that. Let's
yeah,
do that
yeah.
after this, right? So rain or heat? Rain or sun?
heat.
Heat. Okay. Why?
And no ceiling on that.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on this. Ollie's a rain man.
No.
I love the rain.
He likes
I feel
the
like a hero
heroic
in the rain.
feeling.
Yeah.
Like 10 years ago when I wrote the first book, which you've got there, Don't Stop Me Now, actually, lovely Charlotte at Bloomsbury, it's her title.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, God, what did I want to call it? I wanted to call it Running in the Rain.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She went, yeah, no. I see what we're trying to do.
You're
No.
going to put people off.
Yeah. yeah. But no, yes, running in the rain, because you sort of feel a little bit like, you know, look, get me, I'm running in the rain. But running in the heat. I ran in Death Valley last summer with like 54, 55 degrees.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, hard, but like that. Can you tell that I sort of, I come alive when I'm getting out of my comfort zone, and I get a little bit more extreme, and a bit of that, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm Greek. I love running. You know, the heat of the day. We were in Corfu in the summer, and it's on high 30s, and it's the heat of the day, and I'm running up these silly hills, and I'm so happy.
I know.
Running up a hill as well.
Yeah.
Again, that's objectively horrible, but there's something about it.
When you're at the top of the hill.
I think it's when you're at the top. Yeah, exactly. You can see the accomplishment coming towards.
Well, no, but if you start a run on a hill,
Yeah.
then the rest of the run somehow kind of ticks by really nicely,
Yeah.
really easily.
Yeah.
You know, Johnny Brownlee, who I was sat next to at dinner a few months ago now, he and I were discussing how, like, you just start a run with a hill,
Yeah.
and then just, you know, and it's got to be a proper hill. It's not like a, you know, like Hammersmith
Slight
Bridge.
incline.
Yeah,
You know,
that is
it's
a
got to be
top
10
tip, actually.
minutes.
That is a good tip.
I live in Bath, so most of Bath is hill, so you can almost not get away with running the flats. I manage it sometimes, but yeah, starting on a hill and then getting to the flat is a great way to do a run, isn't it?
There is a local run club, Ranley Run Club, that starts at Petersham. If you go in Petersham Gate at Richmond Park, and you run that hill,
that is my hill rep.
That's my hill rep as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I might see you there.
What's your?
I hate that hill. I call that bastard hill. I don't like that at all.
I don't mind it at all, because you've got the 3 benches,
Yes, that mark it off.
a third,
Yes.
2/3, and then you have to touch the gate at the top, right?
100%.
And then back down to the paving slab,
Yeah,
right? And then
yeah.
just like foot
Oh,
on the
mine's
paving
the
slab.
sign, actually. I go to the sign.
Okay, yeah,
By the gate.
yeah.
I go a little bit further than you.
You do, yeah, but this flat.
Okay, yeah. I catch my breath going back to the sign. Yes, I do like that hill, not at all. Okay, so 5K or a marathon?
Marathon,
Of course.
and beyond. Please, and beyond. You just let me keep running. You know,
Yeah.
I think, you know, that you people have, like, my 5K PB is terrible. My marathon PB is terrible, actually. But
I'm going to ask, what is your 5K BB?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. I actually genuinely
But
don't
it's sub 20, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you
Yeah,
go. So
but,
it's respectable.
But I think my sweet spot, you know, my son and I, he's a bit more middle distance and I'm more long distance, like slow twitch. I think my sweet spot is 100 miles. But we were at, it really is, right? So I could do 100 miles in a pretty decent time.
Yeah.
As a marathon, I'm not that, I mean, you know, I'm sub 3 hours, but it's only just and only once.
Yeah.
So you can just keep ticking at that.
But I can just not. I'm not. And we were watching the sprinters, and he and I were doing interval training around actually Wimbledon Park track, and well, not the Windmilers. What are they called? And I can't remember the name of the club. And so they were the sprinters sharing the track, and they would do 200 meters, so working hard for 20, 30 seconds, and 10 minents rest. And we would do, you know, 10 minutes hard, 30 seconds rest. And they looked so beautiful, you know, like sort of racehorses as they run around the track, and we're sort of like panting along. And we're I'm very jealous of people who are faster twitch, because they look better.
Yeah.
But I'm 100 miles slow twitch.
Yeah. I must admit, I do like the form of a good runner. You know, I'm very jealous of people who run with that elegance, and I'm sort of feel
Effortless.
like, I feel like I'm plodding.
I know, and I can't sort of like stop staring.
Yeah.
And my wife Caroline says, "Stop staring at people."
Yeah.
It's like when food comes and I'm starving in a restaurant,
Yeah.
and I sort of follow the waiter or waitress, and it's like, and I'm looking at the food, but it looks like I'm just looking at the person.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the running form, but it looks a bit dodgy.
Sounds like an elaborate excuse to
Yeah,
an
yeah.
incident happened at a restaurant. Okay, music or no music?
No music.
Right, okay, I've got to ask why.
Oh, stop it.
Stop it.
You don't need music.
You don't need music. But
You don't
does it
need-
not enhance the run? The music?
No, it sort of can, but I know how this sounds, right?
Yeah.
I accept that I sound like a wanker with what I'm about to say, and there's no other word. Sorry for swearing.
Bring it on.
No, God.
I almost can't bring myself to say it, but it slightly music muddies the purity of the run.
Right, got it. Okay.
It's fine,
Yeah.
and you can shove on a song and sink your feet to the beat. And actually, sometimes if I want to, you know, in a marathon or something, if I'm hoping for time, it can give you a few sort of 3 seconds a mile.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Mm.
San Francisco Marathon last year. That's quite a hilly one, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's also 5 a.m. start. They want the roads back
Whoa.
at 10. Come on, well done, San Francisco.
Yeah.
So you're walking down from Nob Hill, where our hotel was, past the sort of, I don't know, whatever district. And there's the people coming out of nightclubs. And the people walking to the start line of the marathon is like, oh yeah, you're them and we're them. Sorry, everyone. We're not.
Is it still dark at 5 a.m.?
Oh, was it dark? I think it was.
I don't know
Yeah, I
what
took
time
my
of year
first
it is.
Waymo, you know, the
Yeah.
driverless cabs.
Yeah.
And then I walked the last bit, and it was great. I put the music on. I'd done the Alcatraz swim the day before,
Wow.
and I wasn't. Honestly, my wife, saint.
Yeah.
2 nights in San
it sounds
Francisco,
it, yeah.
Saturday morning Alcatraz swim, Sunday morning marathon, and then we were off to Lake Tahoe.
Wow.
But though that was one of my favourite runs because of the music. It
Right.
was really hard. I always have this thing where the last 10 miles of a marathon, like you go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is a member of my immediate family, 3 children, me and my wife,
Yeah.
right? And I dedicate. And so you don't think beyond that mile. It's just, but the music, like something was happening through the universe, really, because I just went up in order, age order. So Mary, Matthew, Emily, Caroline, me, and the songs were perfect. It was like 2 songs for Mary, perfect. Then the mile marker came. Then 2 songs for Matthew, perfect. 2 for Emily. Then 2 for Caroline. But then a third one started, and that was for both of us. And then it carried on, and then I finished it, and it was just like I was in tears when I finished, and it was because of the music. So don't get me wrong. But you ask me music or no music, I say, come on.
Except for that one exceptional
No,
story.
no. So, like music, great, but actually,
Yeah. If you had to choose, that's the whole point of these questions. Isn't
yeah, no, like 99 runs out of 100, ditch the
Yeah.
headphones.
Nice. Okay. Which leads nicely on to the next question, I think. Road or trail?
Trail.
Yeah. Predominantly because of that connection with nature and just being.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean trail, road, trail.
Right. But a road, if you're going for a PB or you're doing.
If you want to,
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the trip up question there.
if
Fine.
you
Fair enough.
want to, but honestly, it's a whole different ball game. Running on trail.
Mhm.
You
Okay.
mentioned skiing.
Yeah.
I've got a bit of a long run about skiing as well. I've sort of seen through it.
Right.
But mountains,
Yeah.
you know, running in mountains, that's that's the peak for me. And I'm not from, I'm from London, really, or Greek. So
Yeah.
I don't know, mountains aren't really in my heritage, but I mean, we have mountains in Greece, obviously, but just there's something about running in mountains. I literally am never happier.
Yeah.
And also more miserable because it's really hard.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, absolutely. On to the last question then, and I'll give it a slight spin. I've written Strava or Garmin, but if I may, a device, a wearable that measures or none.
None.
Right.
Look, he says wearing a Phoenix
Sure.
7X.
Yeah.
But almost all of my runs I measure on stopwatch only.
Yeah.
So just time, not distance.
hmm
It tells you the last run. The last run I measured, Okay, it was the Fulham 10K, which I ran with a friend of mine, Russ, and it was the day after Dublin High Rocks, and we were chatting, but I just put it on because everyone else was putting it on, but I just but it was 10K, so I knew it was going to be 10K. I slightly despair with Strava and Garmin sort of almost becoming like part of the run, and you know what plate have you got in your shoes and all of that stuff, because honestly none of it matters.
No, I've started recording some of my runs with how it felt.
RPE.
So,
RPE is my new friend.
I don't know what RPE is.
Rate of perceived exertion.
Oh, so that's how you feel you've drained yourself over the...
Because I used to live, until very recently, I used to live in RPE 8 or 9.
Right.
So if I'm going to the gym and I'm doing a chest
really
press,
giving it.
it's like, hard, and like people like running to help me, and I know, so I've got this, every set, you know, and then finish a run, and you know they say you should do some really easy runs. Well, really though. Whereas now you realise that if you do a tempo run, it doesn't have to be 9 every you know, or an interval, every interval to like 8, 9, you know, where you actually 7's fine, and then run occasionally. Yesterday I ran at sort of 5 to 6 RPE, and
I'm the same. I do wear my watch, a slight addiction, you know.
Yeah, I know, it's fair enough.
But then a kind of long run on a Sunday slow, I don't. I just, you know, go out and just enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? And probably go really slow, but I like it. You know what I mean? And it's a different kind of run then, isn't it?
I really love that. I really love the fact that, because actually if you push your nervous system too much, and you know, we don't know each other really, but I think you know me well enough to know that I do that, right? Then it just doesn't have a chance to recover. So your body doesn't adapt to the exercise that you've just done. It's just on basically fight or flight mode the whole time. And I'm realizing the last few weeks when I've just been sort of taking it down a notch, and lots of notches actually in some respects. Actually, I'm becoming fitter because my body has a chance to. Today in the gym, I just thought, right, I've got a little bit, like there's my stomach glands are up or something. Haven't really slept that well, so I was going to do some ski and rowing intervals. Yeah, like there's a Dementor, that machine, isn't it? Like it feels like it's pulling your soul out of your body. But I just did it nice and gently, and then I had the half an hour swim and a bit of ab stuff, and I feel all the better for it. So actually, that's a long-winded. Yeah, you said we should.
It's a short answer.
Short answers.
Everyone does it. I mean, we could talk for many more hours, I think, about running and fitness and high rocks and many other things. But I know you're a busy man, so I think I want to kind of wrap it up a little bit. I just want to thank you. Thank you for taking the time out to talk to us. I want to give you the last word, and I want to give you a little flavour for that. Like if it's New Year's, isn't it? And people start thinking about doing different things, new things. If anyone's listening who is thinking about either starting running or upping their running and getting into it, what would you advise them?
Do it. Oh, come on. I mean, it's, you know, it's fairly facile, but if you're thinking about getting into running and then you decide to not to, right? Then how will you feel early in 2027, right? Whereas if you're starting to feel about maybe getting into running and then do it, and don't do it in a way that is just too difficult for you. Don't overthink these things, right? If you're thinking about getting into running and you've never run, then think about getting into walking with a few brief running segments. Do something that you feel is just a little bit outside your comfort zone, but only a bit. Because you don't have to, you know, with all due respect, buy an expensive t-shirt before you go for a run, for example. Absolutely. Your first run, just buy any old stuff. And then when you really love it, which you will, right? Then start buying the boys' kit, you know.
That's a great note to end on. But then also you kind of full circled it back to comfort zones, and I think that's really great. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. I enjoyed it.